Hey everybody, and welcome back, welcome to me. Hi, how are you? I hope you're doing good, I hope you're doing fantastic, I hope you're taking fantastic care of yourself, okay? Alright, so if you're new here, hello, welcome. So I've got this vlog series where I read the most disturbing books ever written, and in that series, I was gonna read this book called Perfume, The Story of a Murderer by Patrick Süskind. Yeah, so I initially decided to read this for a vlog, but you know what? I scraped that idea. Completely scraped it. Because a book this freaking good needs a whole video on itself, and not just, a live reaction. No, this is a masterpiece that I have decided to film an entire video on, to show my love for it, to show my appreciation for its existence, because it is so rare for me to find a book that I love this much. The last time I did a video of this sort was The Secret History by Donna Tartt. That's this book, linked down below if you want to see that video. I also did one for Tender as the Flesh by Augustina Bastarrica, and I'm Thinking of Ending Things by Ian Reid. Amazing book, amazing books. So today, I'm going to be talking to you about why I love the book Perfume by Patrick Süskind, Perfume, The Story of a Murderer. I'm going to tell you about the book, I'm going to tell you about its themes, and I'm going to tell you about why I personally loved it so much. So yes, I'm going to put a spoiler warning because I am going to be discussing a huge chunk of the book, although this discussion will mainly focus on the story's themes and characters. I'm not going to be giving a recitation of events. I'm not going to be providing a Wikipedia summary of every single thing that happens in this book, because that's just not how I do these videos. So semi-spoiler warning, okay? Okay, you may be wondering, what is this book about? Well, it's set in 19th century France, and we follow this young man named Jean-Baptiste. We follow him from when he was an infant, born into the squalor of a dirty fish market in poverty-stricken France. So despite being born into poverty, he was born with an extraordinary sense of smell. And this led him to eventually pursue the life of a perfumer because he wanted to distill the most beautiful scents he could find and turn them into perfume. But here's the thing, okay? Here's the thing. He eventually realized that the most beautiful scents came from none other than live human flesh. So this book essentially becomes an olfactory retelling of Jack the Ripper set in the lush French countryside. It's pretty awesome, okay? And yeah, this is a rapturous book about a vile subject matter with prose so ripe, the scents practically emanate off the page. And reading this book, to me, was an exercise in being seduced by repellent darkness and constantly having to question myself lest I empathize with a killer. Not just a killer, but a monster who has found his life's purpose one night when he smells a young maiden's exquisite milky skin and longs to distill it into its purest form in a perfume bottle. So much of this book focuses on our main character's lifelong struggle with identity, his essence, his humanity, or lack thereof. So the first thing I want to do is touch on our main character, Jean-Baptiste, and why I love him so much, basically. Or maybe I don't love him, maybe I love how Patrick Süskind went about writing him. I still don't know. I debate to myself to this day. If you have read this book, what did you think? Did you like the guy? Did you like how the guy was written? All of the above? None of the above? What's up? Comment down below. Let me give you a sense of this guy's life, okay? He was born into a filthy fish market to a mom who left him for dead, the wet nurse who eventually took him in gave him up, to a priest. And the priest he was given to immediately labeled and sensed him as someone evil. Why? Because he didn't have his own scent. Yes, everybody in the squalors of Paris smelled like BO, smelled like fish, smelled like... I almost said they smelled like croissants, but if I've seen the film, the croissants weren't in the picture, okay? So yeah, he didn't smell like anything, he didn't have any scent. Put a pin in that because that proves to be important. So eventually the priest gave him to this woman, and the woman who took him in had these other kids, and in that place he was in, the other kids also sensed that he was evil and they tried to kill him. But despite all this, despite all these challenges in life, everything failed. and he lived. And all the while, his strong supernatural sense of smell guided his entire life. He used his sense of smell to basically understand the world. He made sense of the world and its objects through their scent. And he internally argued that language was very limited. It lacked nuance. He said that terms like smoke and wood shouldn't be boxed into one catch-all word, considering the infinite nuances in their sense, because he understood things by their scent. He pretty much never spoke because the language used to describe these things were just lacking and limited and insufficient. Yet despite the fact that he could identify all these objects in the world, you know, like we use words, we're like, this is a phone, this is a book. He smells them, and that's basically his language. Smelling and scent is his language. So despite the fact that he could identify all these things in the world, the interesting thing is that he was unable to comprehend abstract terms. Terms like justice, terms like faith, terms like love. All these things denied him from the day he was born. And throughout the story, you ultimately see that the fact that he had no scent rendered him an outcast from society. And we realize that he wanted his own scent, so he'll know what it's like to be loved, or in the very least, not be shunned by all of society. So he was alone in the world, and his sense of smell was how he made sense of things in his own life throughout his entire life. And because of this, he was overcome with anxiety because of the prospect that he couldn't find a way to keep certain scents forever. He was bound to lose them forever if he couldn't find a way to distill a certain thing's scent that he loved. He was so anxious over the potential loss of a scent that he found beautiful, thus meaningful. And honestly, this was tantamount to the loss of a lover in his eyes. Because all these experiences that only humans can have thanks to our higher faculties, yeah, these were things that were given access to him through his ability to smell the very essence of something. So as a result, he had to find a way to permanently acquire something's essence and scent, morals be damned, because he had no concept of them. He doesn't know love because he's had no first-hand experience with it from the day he was born. And from love comes empathy. And in a loveless existence, empathy is rendered non-existent. So yeah, all the happiness he managed to have in life came from the joys of smelling something so good it resonated with his ability to feel a semblance of the happiness that we, people like us, know. So here's the catalyst for what caused his, string of murders. One night he happened upon this girl, this plum girl, this, young girl carrying a basket of plums, and he describes her as the perfect concoction of scents. The best thing he's ever smelled in his entire life up until this point. A smell so good, he had to have it forever, and so he strangled her to death. And then he stripped her and he smelled her, and he realized that this was his life's true purpose, because we derive meaning from our purpose. And for the first time in his life, he managed to unlock the notion that something could mean something to him. So that night, he found the compass to his future, his destiny. And that night, he decided that he must become the greatest perfumer of all time. Because if he fails to master the art of distilling specific scents, his life will be devoid of meaning. And in a sense, I guess one could argue that it was in that night, in that moment specifically, that he apprehended his own personal interpretation of meaning and fulfillment in spite of never having known love or empathy. So eventually he's taken under the wing of this retiring perfumer named Baldini, and it's a really fun scene where this Baldini guy, who is this old perfumer, he's trying to figure out a certain combination to match a scent in this handkerchief, so he's trying to make this certain perfume. And Jean-Baptiste comes in and he smells the thing, and with just one smell, he's able to identify all the ingredients. And then Baldini hires him on the spot. And it's here where he learns and gets a taste of how perfume is made, how you distill scent from flowers, and, using essential oils, yada yada yada. And this is all while Baldini is under the impression that he is getting somebody who is gonna work under him for a cheap price. So Baldini was teaching him how to work with him and using Jean-Baptiste as a means to his own ends, because he was like, this guy is gonna work for cheap, I'm gonna use him. He's willing. What Baldini didn't know And this is the story's, I suppose, you know, second irony. The first one being that he had an incredible sense of smell, could smell everyone, nobody could smell him, not even himself. That was the first irony. The second one is that Baldini was under the impression that he was using him for his own ends. What he didn't know was that Jean-Baptiste was using Baldini as a means to his far more sinister ends. So you see how Jean-Baptiste sees human beings as nothing more than bodies that moved and breathed and ate and just existed. He didn't see the dignity inherent to all people by virtue of them being their own persons. No, because they didn't see that in him. So in short, he derived meaning from scent, and murder was his means of achieving that specific end. And here comes the third irony. Okay, so despite the most beautiful scents coming from certain people, he despised being around most people. He despised crowded cities because the mere existence of other people obscured the sense that he could have access to. To him, humans just polluted the world. Humans were just waste. To him, the world wouldn't miss humanity, and the very existence of humans gets in the way of his respiratory freedoms. He also states that he preferred nighttime to daytime because the pitch black night sky mirrored the world of his soul. Direct quote from the book. And also his amazing sense of smell gave him the ability to navigate around at night. He didn't need light to go around at night. He just closed his eyes and the smelling did all the vision for him. So according to him, the air is more pure at night when the earth is silent, rather than during the day when humans pollute the air with their very existence. And of course, these antisocial, anti-human sentiments can be associated with, you know, things associated with serial killers, even to this day. But seeing how Patrick Süskind builds the character of Jean-Baptiste up and shows us just how he managed to get to this worldview is stunning. It was so stunning. Like, I think I was getting like Dostoevsky flashbacks reading this book. And for a huge chunk in the middle of this book, he leaves to spend years in this cave. He stays in this cave, he lives in this cave in complete isolation, and he expresses how happy he is at the prospect of being the only human in the world. He lived in total darkness, basking in his own existence and solipsism, and to him, pretty much, the cave was his empire. It was his entire world that he presided over. He fantasized about being this divine creator who is capable of creating this scent so powerful and beautiful that he could bend the entire planet to his own will. And this, of course, harkens back to the mad genius archetype that emerged in the 18th century, where this story is set. As a matter of fact, he reminded me a lot of Raskolnikov in Crime and Punishment, one of my favorite characters of all time. I hate classics, but that book was pretty solid. I gave it 5 stars. It was really, really good. So yeah, whilst he is in this cave, he recalls all these scents, but the one thing he cannot smell is himself. His body has no distinct smell. And because he understood things through scent and gave things meaning through their scent, he realized he had none of it, thus no meaning. So this leads him on a mission to capture the basic odor all humans have, you know, one that is unquestionably human and nothing else. And he achieves this. He is able to go back into town and come up with these various ingredients that give him this smell that would make him human passing. Okay, and this did get him noticed in society. But that wasn't enough. Because nothing is ever enough, is it, you know? So then he decides that his ultimate mission is to create this angel scent. The best scent to ever exist in this planet's history. A scent that could make everyone, including Napoleon, including the Pope, love him to the point of insanity. He wanted to find a scent, and I quote, so terrifyingly celestial that once it had unfolded its total glory, it would unleash a perfume such as the world had never smelled before. And that happens when he smells the skin of this maiden. This maiden named Lor Rishi, who is the daughter of this very wealthy man in this city, you know, this daughter of this very noble family. When he smelled her, he decided that he wanted to rob a living creature of its aromatic soul. And this is essentially where the serial killing comes in, because he eventually does learn. He does learn a method to manage being able to distill the scent of, you know, things that you couldn't distill with the way Baldini taught him. So he was able to distill the scent of, like, you know, water and rocks and, you know, the most random things, And that's what caused the killing spree. He went on this killing spree, killing these young women, trying to perfect the art of distilling the scent of human flesh. So by the time he got to this lore Rishi girl, he would know exactly what to do and have the exact purest form of the most beautiful scent he has ever smelled in the entire world. So he decided that he wanted to become the omnipotent god of scent in the real world, and that this was possible. Why is this possible? Because unlike all the other senses, people can't escape scent. People can't escape the sense of smell. Because if you try to stifle your sense of smell, you stifle your ability to breathe air, and you die. Also, smelling something gives you a snap judgment between good and bad, love and hate. You can't convince yourself to hate something that you know smells good. And likewise, you can't force yourself to enjoy the smell of a pile of feces. And so he made it his life's purpose to find this ultimate perfume, to acquire the highest, most transcendental state of meaning, because the acquisition of this perfume, the goal of this obsession, was, in my opinion, in my view, to transcend the shackles of earth and all the limited things that it could offer, to go into a higher plane, something similar to a religious experience, heaven, nirvana, whatever it is to you. And this is another irony I found in this book, because what makes this ironic is that this realization of his is juxtaposed with a scene where Jean-Baptiste is made to confess to a priest. And he doesn't know what to do because he's had no experience with, God and organized religion. But the big irony is that he managed to grasp the ultimate goal of the world's major religions without knowing about a single one of them. Because through making this angel scent, he would achieve a divine spark. He would become God in a world of his own making, with a soul dominated by the coldness of night. So the scent he makes is a scent so powerful that he could essentially bend the entire planet to his will and control people with it. And spoiler alert, he does end up making this perfume. But here's the thing, despite having the means to acquire an invincible power to command all of mankind to worship him, despite all this, the scent he never had access to was his own. Perhaps you could see this book as an indictment on people who live life for themselves and themselves alone, but by the end you also feel really bad for Jean-Baptiste, because despite his inhumanity, it was this world filled with supposedly humane people that turned him into the monster he was. This book is a masterpiece, and I think I'm gonna go give the movie a rewatch because I have not seen it in many years. If you read this book, let me know what you think. Do you agree, disagree? If you have your own personal interpretations, be sure to share them respectfully, okay? Yeah, thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed. I know that this is a very different video, but it's one that makes me feel good. I genuinely enjoy expressing my appreciation for books that I love, and I hope you enjoyed this too. I hope to see you in future videos, and as always, take care.